and today we're going through a 2006 horror slasher called The Hills Have Eyes. At the beginning of the movie, we are told that the United States conducted 331 atmospheric nuclear tests between 1945 and 1965. Today, the government still denies the genetic effects caused by the radioactive fallout. The next scene opens in the New Mexico desert where a group of scientists is testing the radiation levels. Suddenly, a blood-soaked man shows up and he asks a scientist for help, but before the scientist could do anything, he gets killed by a mutant called Pluto. Then, he kills the rest of the scientists with a ricochet. After this, he ties their dead bodies to a pickup truck and leaves the spot by dragging them along. Then, we are shown the nuclear testing by the US government that caused the mutants' deformities. We see the newborn babies having the genetic effects as a result of the nuclear tests. Then, a gas station is shown in the desert and the attendant is asleep inside. While sleeping, he hears a sound and wakes up and takes his gun before going outside. He calls the name of a woman called Ruby and moves forward around the gas station. He reaches a government area where trespassing is not allowed and he searches for Ruby. He follows a railway track that leads to a cave and shouts for Ruby. When he comes back to the gas station, he finds a bag in front of his home. As soon as he sees the bag, he shouts and threatens someone that it is over and he will not give help anymore. He then takes the bag and goes inside his home. While he is checking the bag, someone observes him from outside. He finds some expensive things and a human ear in the bag. He also finds a wallet and takes out a couple's picture. Meanwhile, he hears a car honking and he goes out and finds a family with a trailer attached to a car. Retired Detective Bob Carter and his wife Ethel are traveling from Cleveland to San Diego through the desert to celebrate their wedding anniversary with their children, Bobby, Brenda, Lynn, and their son-in-law, Doug Bukowski, who is Lynn's husband and the father of Catherine. In the next scene, we see Doug, who is fixing an air conditioner in the trailer. He tells Lynn that he is not happy with her parents' decision to go to San Diego through the desert. Brenda plays with the pigs near the gas station and Bobby goes into the bushes to pee, but Brenda stops him and shows him the portable toilet. Then, a mutant is seen stealing Bob's red sweatshirt from the car. While Bob is in the toilet, he notices a girl peeping into the toilet and he goes out quickly. He thinks that it was Brenda who was peeping inside. The gas station attendant fixes the problem in the car and then Bob pays him a sum of $46. After this, Lynn goes inside the gas station to find her dog, Beauty, who was outside the trailer. She goes inside and gets the dog. Meanwhile, the attendant shows up and she freaks out. Then, Doug calls her telling that they are leaving. Before they leave, the gas station attendant tells them about a shortcut to San Diego through the hills which was not on the map. A short while after taking the shortcut, their tires are punctured by a hidden strip. Bob loses control and slams the car into a rock. Then, it is shown that the spike strip is removed by someone. They all get out and check if baby Catherine is alright. Meanwhile, their dogs, Beauty and Beast, get out of the trailer and run towards the desert and Bobby goes after them. Doug tries to find a signal on his phone but he doesn't get it. He gets angry at Lynn's father and tells her that her father has got them into a problem. Bob examines the car and tells Doug that it is damaged and beyond repair. Bob decides to walk and find a way out of the desert. Doug doesn't like the idea and tells him that they are in the middle of the desert and miles away. But Bob tells him that they cannot wait there for someone to drive by. They both start arguing but Lynn shows up and takes Doug away. Then, Bobby brings back the dogs and a mutant is seen watching him from behind a rock. The mutant is wearing the spike strip on his back which he used to puncture their tires. They all camp outside the trailer and Bob takes out the guns and gives one to Bobby for protection. Bobby points the gun at Doug and Bob tells him that Doug doesn't like guns. When Doug and Bob are about to leave to get away out in the desert, Doug asks Lynn to get his jacket from the trailer. Lynn goes inside the trailer and notices that somebody out the window is using a mirror as a signal. Suddenly, Bobby scares him through the window from outside. She looks out of the window again but finds nothing. Bob decides that he will head back the way they came and Doug must find a road that leads out of the desert. He tells his wife Ethel that he will come back in the gas station attendant's car and will be back before nightfall. Then, Ethel calls everyone for a prayer before Doug and Bob leave. It is shown that they have been observed from afar through a pair of binoculars. While Doug and Bob have gone, Ethel, Lynn, and Brenda gossip over some refreshments, and then Bobby joins them too. He tells Brenda about his red sweatshirt that was missing. Then, Brenda goes into the trailer and the dog, Beauty, gets out and runs into the desert. Bobby goes after and reaches a rocky area. He hears Beauty whimpering and he becomes frightened. He moves forward to look for her and hears someone's footsteps behind him. He then picks up a rock and goes ahead and finds a trail of blood. Bobby follows the trail and finds Beauty's corpse. He gets closer to her and sees that her body has been cut open. Frightened, Bobby weeps and he starts running back to the trailer, but while he is on the run, he loses his balance and falls in between the hills and faints. Ruby comes near him and touches his face and sees the bleeding from his forehead. Suddenly, Ruby's brother, Goggle, shows up on the hill, who is eating the leg of Beauty. Meanwhile, while going on that road that Bob had suggested to him, Doug arrives at a huge crater where he finds a lot of abandoned cars and trucks. He checks a few cars and finds toys, paper plates, and some other items. Bob arrives at the gas station and finds that the attendant isn't at home. He goes inside and finds the ear in the bag. He turns on the lamp and looks around in the room and finds a lot of clippings on the wall about the missing people in that area after the nuclear testing at a mining town which resulted in genetic mutations. He also reads a clipping about the people of the mining town who condemned the government to leave their town and hide in the mines. Horrified, Bob goes outside and gets into a car, but then he hears someone crying in the portable toilet. He hears him talk about some kids who grew up wild in the mines. Bob takes his gun and goes towards the toilet and finds the attendant drunk with a rifle in his hand. The attendant then commits suicide by blowing up his head with the rifle. Frightened, Bob gets back into the car where he gets attacked by a mutant leader, Papa Jupiter, from the back seat. Then we see that Bob is dragged on the railway track leading to the mine on a cart. In the next scene, Brenda finds Bobby and takes him back into the trailer. While Ethel is dressing Bobby's injuries on the forehead, they hear their dog, Beast, barking outside. Terrified, Bobby immediately takes out his gun and asks everyone to stay in the trailer, and then he goes outside. Meanwhile, Doug shows up and tells Lynn about the huge crater. He tells them that the road he went on leads to nowhere. After dinner, they all go to bed in the trailer, but Lynn and Doug decide to sleep in the car outside. He tells Bobby that if Bob doesn't get back by midnight, then they both will go looking for him. At night, everyone's asleep except Bobby, who hears his dog barking outside. When he leaves the trailer, a mutant named Pluto sneaks inside and attacks Brenda. Bobby finds someone grunting behind the bushes and runs towards Doug and Lynn. He tells them that something suspicious is going on out there. He also tells them about Beauty's death. When Doug and Bobby approach the trailer, Pluto hears their voices and distracts them by commanding another mutant to immolate Bob on a tree. Ethel rushes out of the trailer and then all run towards Bob. Doug goes inside the trailer to get the fire extinguisher and leaves without noticing Brenda, whose mouth was muffled by Pluto. As soon as Doug leaves the trailer, Pluto's brother, Lizard, jumps off the rooftop of the trailer and gets inside. He consumes their food savagely and then he kills the parrot twittering in the cage and drinks its blood. Meanwhile, Doug tries to save Bob and tells Lynn to get her mother away as she couldn't tolerate the pain of seeing Bob burning. Lizard beats Pluto up and tells him to move away from Brenda, and then he rapes her. Frustrated, Pluto destroys the trailer and finds baby Catherine. Lynn, who is consoling Ethel, hears Catherine crying and goes into the trailer. Lizard threatens Lynn to kill her baby and he harasses her. Bob doesn't survive and Doug gets him down the tree, covering him with a cloth. When Ethel goes inside the trailer, Lizard shoots her in the stomach. Meanwhile, Lynn manages to pick up a screwdriver and hits Lizard, but he shoots her in the head and she dies instantly. Bobby and Doug hear the gunshot and run back to the trailer. Lizard and Pluto try to take Brenda with them, but then they leave her there and threaten to come back for her. Doug and Bobby get Brenda into the trailer and find Lynn dead. He notices that baby Catherine is missing and the mutants have taken her. Then, Goggle, who keeps a watch eye on the trailer, is attacked and killed by Bobby's dog, Beast. After some time, Ethel, who had been shot by Lizard, passes away. Later, they hear some voices outside and find that Beast has come with Goggle's arm holding a radio. The next day, Doug, along with his dog, Beast, follows the trails and arrives at a mine. He finds a lot of graves of the miners working in that mine. Then, he goes ahead of the mine and finds a town. He informs Bobby on the radio, who is making traps around the trailer for the mutants. Doug goes into the abandoned houses and finds many mannequins there. Then, he looks into another house from the window and finds his daughter, Catherine. Before he could enter the house, he sees a mutant called Cyst coming out with a corpse, and then Doug hides himself in a wrecked car along with Beast. After the mutant has gone, Doug gets out of the car and leaves Beast inside. He sneaks inside the house with a baseball bat and finds a mutant named Big Mama watching TV and combing a mannequin head. He picks up Catherine, but as soon as he tries to get out, Big Mama shows up and knocks him out. Later, Doug finds he wakes up in an icebox that contains a lot of corpses and manages to get out of it. He takes the bat and goes ahead in the house and finds a mutant named Big Brain on a wheelchair. He tells Doug about how the government forced the miners to leave the town, but they hid in the mines and got genetically distorted because of the radiation of the bombs. Doug asks him about baby Catherine, but Big Brain tells him that he doesn't know anything. Meanwhile, Pluto arrives and attacks him with an axe, but Doug's dog shows up and attacks Pluto. Doug rushes to the bathroom and blocks the door with the bathtub. But Pluto breaks in through the wall and throws Doug on the ground. He cuts a couple of his fingers with the axe. Doug pokes a screwdriver into his feet and he falls down. Then, he pulls out a flagpole from the head of a corpse and plunges it into Pluto's neck. He picks up the axes and hits Pluto in the head, putting him to death. As soon as he leaves the house, he encounters Sist and kills him with the axe. Big Brain orders Lizard to kill Catherine on the radio. Meanwhile, Doug's dog kills him. Doug goes inside a house to find Catherine and finds a couple of genetically affected children. Lizard attempts to kill Catherine but finds a piglet under the blanket. He realizes that Ruby has taken the baby with her. Doug spots Ruby running on the hill with baby Catherine. On the contrary, Ethel's body disappears from the car and Bobby follows the blood trails. He finds Jupiter, the leader of the mutants, eating up Ethel's body. Bobby gets terrified and runs back. Jupiter notices him and follows him to the trailer where Bobby lures him and arranges an explosive trap, which destroys the trailer and Jupiter. In the next scene, Doug catches up with Ruby but Lizard arrives there and attacks him. Doug manages to shoot him with Sist's shotgun. Ruby then gives Doug his daughter back. Meanwhile, Lizard, who is still alive, aims the shotgun at Doug's back but Ruby runs towards Lizard and makes him fall off the cliff with herself, and both die. After the explosion, Brenda and Bobby find Jupiter wounded and Brenda kills him with a pickaxe. Then we see the reunion of Doug, Catherine, Brenda, Bobby, and their dog, Beast, and it is shown that an unknown mutant is watching them through the hills and the movie ends here. Thanks for watching, guys.